Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk and Shine Academy. Now, this is episode 5, the final lesson in our communication masterclass series. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you a surprise exam at the end, and there will be no scary grammar policy waiting outside. Today, we are going to learn 5 simple habits that can make your English sound clearer, more confident, and more natural. You don't need perfect English to communicate well. You just need to make small improvements, practice regularly, and avoid hiding behind one word answers like yes, no, and maybe. So, let's get started. Habit 1. Give more than one word answers. The first habit is simple. Try to give more than one word answers whenever possible. Imagine someone is asking you, did you enjoy the event? You could simply say yes. The answer is correct, but it gives the other person very little to work with. The conversation may stop faster than a phone battery at 1%, isn't it? Instead, add a reason or a detail. Yes, I really enjoyed it because the atmosphere was great. And you can use a simple structure. First give an opinion, then a reason, and then an example. I'll give you an example. I enjoyed the event because the atmosphere was great. There was live music and everyone was very friendly. Now you can do the same with negative answers. Let's try. Instead of saying no, try, no, I didn't enjoy the movie because the story was too slow. Or instead of saying maybe, you could say, maybe I'll join you. I have some free time this evening. So, whenever possible, add a little more information. Give a reason, an example, or a personal detail. For example, instead of I like coffee, you could say, I like coffee because it helps me wake up in the morning. Without it, my brain is still loading. So giving longer answers makes you sound more interested, helps the conversation flow, and gives the other person something to respond to. Now, habit 2. Handle hesitation calmly. Now, the second habit is learning how to handle hesitations. Pausing is absolutely normal. Everyone needs a moment to think, especially when speaking another language. Even native speakers pause sometimes. Their brain also needs to find the right words. They just do it with more confidence. Observe that next time. The problem isn't pausing. The problem is panicking or just saying, yeah, so many times that it sounds like your brain is stuck in the traffic. Instead, use natural expressions that give you time to organize your thoughts. That's an interesting question. Let me think about that. I'm not completely sure, but I think. Let me rephrase that. For example, if someone is asking you, what's your favorite book? You can say, that's an interesting question. Let me think about that. I think my favorite book is. If you are unsure, you could say, I'm not completely sure, but I think the answer is. And if you make a mistake, simply say, let me rephrase that for you. You don't need to freeze like a computer that has stopped responding. Just pause, breathe, and then continue. I even give this, tip to my school graders. And trust me, this is actually helping them. Now, these expressions help you sound more calm and confident if you go to see. Remember, you don't have to answer immediately. And nobody's, putting a gun at your head and just pointing out a gun at your head and telling you answer it immediately. No, pause. Pause and then answer. A short, natural pause is completely fine. Thinking before speaking is not a weakness. it usually means you're trying to give a good answer. Next, habit 3. Vary your expressions. Now, the third habit is to avoid repeating the same expressions too often. Words like actually, basically, very, and they aren't wrong. But if you use them in every sentence, your speech may start to sound repetitive. For example, I basically think it's basically a good idea. So many basicallys. Now that sentence has so much basically that it may need its own passport. Sorry. The same is true of phrases like I think. Now instead of repeating I think again and again, try using in my opinion, I believe, personally I feel, from my point of view. For example, this sounds repetitive. I think this is a good idea. I think it will help us. I think everyone will enjoy it. Well, you could simply say, in my opinion, this is a good idea. I believe it will help us. And I feel that everyone will enjoy it. Now, you don't need a complicated vocabulary or fancy words that sounds like they came from a dictionary wearing a suit. Just try to express simple ideas in different ways. Now, this will make your English sound more natural, interesting, and flexible. Habit 4. Learn phrases instead of translating. The fourth habit is to stop translating every sentence word for word. Now, when you translate directly from your first language, you may pause more often or choose words that don't sound natural in English. Now, sometimes a direct translation sounds so unusual that even the sentence seems confused about where it came from. So, a better approach is to learn complete phrases. For example, make a decision, interested in, responsible for, look forward to. So, practicing using them in full sentences. Now, I need to make a decision. She's interested in photography. He is responsible for the project. I look forward for meeting you. Now, learning phrases helps you speak more smoothly because you remember groups of words together instead of building every sentence one word at a time. So you can practice thinking in simple English throughout the day. For example, I'm tired. I have a meeting today. I need to buy groceries. I'm going to call my friend. You don't need to think in long or complicated sentences. Start small. You can even describe what you are doing. For example, I'm teaching. I'm making tea. I'm looking for my keys. I have found my keys finally. Well, the more you practice thinking in English, the easier it will become to speak without translating everything in your head. Now, habit 5. Ask follow-up questions. The fifth habit is one of the best ways to keep a conversation going. Ask follow-up questions. Now, communication isn't only about speaking, isn't it? It's also about showing interest in the other person. Imagine someone says, I went to Goa last weekend. Now, instead of replying, okay, you could say, what did you do there? Was it your first time visiting? What was the best part? Would you go there again? Now, these questions show that you're listening and you're interested. They also prevent the conversation from ending with the emotional energy of closed door. So let's do a small, short example. I'll give you a short example of person A and person B. Okay. Now this is person A. Now I watched a movie yesterday. Person B. What was it about? Person A. It was a comedy about two friends. Person B. Did you enjoy it? Person A. Yes, it was very funny. Person B. Would you recommend it? The conversation continues because person B asks simple follow-up questions. Now, you can use questions words like what, where, when, how, why, who. You don't need complicated questions. Even a simple question can make a conversation feel more natural and enjoyable. Now, for example, if someone says, I started a new job, you can say, how's it going? That's it. No complicated grammar, no detective equipment required, isn't it? Well, quick practice. Now, let's put all these 5 habits together. Okay, so now imagine someone is asking you, what did you do last weekend? Now, instead of giving a short answer, try something. Last weekend, I visited my cousin because we wanted to spend some time together. We cooked dinner and watched a movie. Now, if you need time to think, you could say, let me think about that. Last weekend, Meanwhile, you're thinking. Now, you can also vary your expressions. Personally, I feel that it was a relaxing weekend. And you can practice thinking in simple English. I visited my cousin. We cooked dinner. We watched a movie. Finally, ask a follow-up question. What did you do last weekend? Now, this short exchange uses all 5 habits, giving details, handling hesitations, varying expressions, thinking in simple English, and asking a question. Now, here is the complete version. Okay? Let me think about that. Last weekend, I visited my cousin because we wanted to spend some time together. We cooked dinner, we watched a movie, and personally, I feel that it was a relaxing weekend. What did you do last weekend? That answer is clear, natural, and interesting. It also gives the other person several things to respond, unlike the famous conversation killer. Fine. Now, let's quickly review the 5 habits. First one, give more than one word answers. Second, handle hesitation calmly. Third, use a variety of expressions. Fourth, learn phrases instead of translating every sentence. Fifth, ask follow-up questions. Trust me, you don't need perfect English to communicate effectively. Start with one small change today. Add a reason to your answer. Use a helpful phrase when you need time to think. Learn useful expressions and show interest by asking questions. With regular practice, you'll become a more natural and confident speaker. And please remember, English is not a subject to study. It is a skill to practice. And remember one more thing. Mistakes are not disasters. They are proof that you are trying. Even fluent speakers sometimes forget words, mix up sentences, or say something strange before their first cup of coffee. Thank you for watching this Communication Masterclass series. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep improving. This is Talk and Shine Academy. Speak, shine, and communicate.